It's Song Talk Radio with Michael, Neil, Phil, and the gang.
Good evening and welcome back to Song Talk Radio, the show with people talking about how to write better songs. I'll be your host. My name is Phil Emery, and as usual, I am here with the very dedicated members of the Song Talk Radio Action Team. Mr. Neil Modi, how you doing, Neil?
Very good. Reporting for duty, sir.
Oh, very good. And Mr. Michael Proudfoot, how you doing, Michael?
I'm doing fairly well, thank you. Snowed in, but not burnt out.
That's true. And of course, for me, I'm very excited. This will be my last show here in Toronto. I'm going to be moving out to St. John's, Newfoundland, the east coast of Canada. So it's going to be a very long trek if we ever actually get back to real life shows like we did in the before times. So we'll see how things are going.
As long as you have a good, stable internet connection out there, you can zoom on back anytime you...
It's a brave new world, I think. So, of course, coming up is our Song Talk Challenge. And what's happening with that, lads?
Neil, what do you think? Should we tell them?
What do I think? Oh, well, I'm just going to stick to the facts, guys. So our Song Talk Radio Songwriting Challenge for 2022 is well underway. And this year we decided to write a song based on a title. So everyone's going to write a song based on the same title. And we solicited title suggestions from our listeners and got a whole ton of them. And we decided to write on the title, Why Do You Cry? Is that the title, guys? Why Do You Cry?
That's the title. I guess someone hasn't started.
I've thought about it.
Someone?
Yeah. So the three of us are each going to write a song and share our answers to the challenge in an episode in February. And of course, we're asking our listeners to participate as well, just like we did last year. We did two shows, 2 episodes of the podcast where we showcased our listeners' answers to the challenge, which was great fun to see. It's always interesting to hear how other people take the same question and come up with completely different answers, and we'll do those episodes in the following months, probably March and April. And have you guys made any headway on Why Do You Cry?
Yes, I have. Yeah. I have perhaps a chorus and maybe a verse, but I have a sense of chords that might work together. So that's encouraging.
Good.
One thing
I had last time, last week.
One thing I've done before is I've actually, because I have so many songs sort of in various phases of completion. So I have a lot of songs that have no lyrics at all. Sometimes before I've actually just taken a song that I've sort of had more or less ready to go and then put the lyrics into that. And that kind of forced me to complete it. But I think this time I think this time I'd actually like to start with the title directly, because I've actually never written that way. I've always done the music and then come up with some words and then sort of do things that way.
Are you going to write some lyrics?
That would be good. I mean, the point of this challenge is to challenge you, and so if it makes you do something in a different way, that's a good way to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm hoping to give that a shot this time, and hopefully it's. I'm hoping I'll have more time out in St. John's, but who knows? I might just be fishing all the time. I don't know.
Ice fishing.
No fish left.
For myself, I've kind of arrived at what the title means to me. That's as far as I've got. Like what the core emotional story is behind that title for me. I haven't written anything yet. Any lyric or any musical tidbit yet, so I just kind of ruminating on that and what the shape of that may look like. Don't know yet.
Well, I'm very curious to hear what you both come up with, and also what our listeners come up with. I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Will you be interested to find out what you come up with, Mike?
Yeah, I'm interested. Well, that's going to be like 2, I guess.
And of course, we've just booked our meetup for January 31st. So listeners and for us, in fact. That's a good place. If you got a draft of your songwriting challenge answer, it's a good place to share it and get some feedback and still have some time to refine it.
That's right. And when is that going to be?
Sorry, the meetup?
Yes.
January 31st.
January 31st. All right.
Monday
7 p.m.
night, I
Eastern
believe.
time.
Yeah, and it's free to join on Zoom, so you can just show up and hang out. It's always a lot of fun.
Yeah,
You can find the address on our website at songtalk.ca.
Certainly can. All right, let's get to our guest. Chad Shank is a songwriter and music producer based in the suburbs of Minneapolis, Minnesota. He has been writing and recording his own music since the middle school, heavily influenced by artists that made the Minneapolis Sound famous, like Prince, Janet Jackson, Jimmy Jam, and Terry Lewis, and of course, The Time. As an adult, he worked in radio for many years and operated his own independent record label. Since then, Chad has discovered that he has a true passion for the craft of songwriting, and after studying songwriting with the Berklee College of Music, he started sharing his experience and songwriting knowledge with other songwriters through the Minneapolis Association of Songwriters and his own YouTube channel and Meetup group at Home Songwriting. Chad leads monthly online songwriting workshops for both groups and releases weekly songwriting videos on YouTube. He has also released over 300 of his own songs online. Welcome, Chad, to Song Talk Radio.
Welcome. And I'm waving at the screen here a little bit because adjusting the video a little bit. But hello, thanks for having me.
It's interesting. Most people don't realize that Minneapolis is actually all red, and that is the natural state of Minneapolis. So this is a filter that Chad has put on to make him seem more hues.
It makes it warmer. It's a warming thing.
Yeah,
It's a heat lamp.
Yeah, it's kind of a compensation for
Exactly.
for being in Minnesota. Yeah.
But no, thanks for inviting me to be on Song Talk. This is really cool.
Now, what was it like going to Berklee for songwriting? That sounds absolutely awesome.
Yeah, so I did their online program. So I got a certificate, a professional certificate in songwriting. So I took, I believe, 6 courses at that time to get the certificate, and it took about 2 years of online study. And I was able to take courses that were created by Pat Pattison, Andrea Stolpe. Some of the other instructors that I had Neil Dirks. I also had Shane Adams as an instructor as well. And I can't say anything, or I can't say enough good stuff about Berklee online courses. They're very immersive, and they allow you to sort of have your everyday life. Because when I took it, I was obviously an adult. I have a day job. So being able to do it on the side was great. And it really changed how I see songwriting and how I write songs, for sure. So if you have the money and the time, I definitely suggest Berklee for sure.
What is the time commitment for that?
It's probably about an hour a day for 12 weeks for each course.
Oh, not bad.
So, you're putting in probably 5 to 6 hours a week. You have daily assignments, and then usually at the end of each week, you turn in either a portion of a song or a full song that you've written that week. So it's pretty immersive.
And how did you say it really fundamentally changed your approach to songwriting? How can you describe what that looks like? Yeah,
so it made me understand. The first course that I took started with lyrics. So there was a Pat Pattison course that was called Lyric Tools and Strategies, and that fundamentally changed how I think about the content that I put into the lyrics, but also the structure and sort of the stuff that's going on under the hood. So rhyme scheme, number of lines, what is the rhythm of the lines doing, and really helped me see that in order to keep your listener interested, you have to really focus on contrast between the sections, and then also trying to marry the words and the music together through, prosody, and having the structure match your lyrical content as well. And I think it also taught me how to write sort of on a schedule, because I was one of the people that would probably wait until inspiration struck, and then inspiration got less and less. And then Berklee actually taught me how to write even when the lightning bolt doesn't strike. And you kind of do the work and then the inspiration comes after that.
Wow. Okay.
That's great. Now,
what came then? What came after the lyrical emphasis as you went through the course?
Yeah, so then I took a couple of there was a hit songwriting or a writing hit songs course that Jimmy Kachulis had created. So that was lyrics and music. So you focused on song structure of hit songs. So what and how Berklee defines a hit song is not necessarily a commercially successful song, but it's a song that successfully communicates the writer's intended emotion to the audience. So you could write a hit song that kind of checks all the boxes without it being a commercial hit. So that was really focused on, again, the content, the structure. How do you how are certain choruses and how are certain things laid out just from a trend standpoint or kind of tendency standpoint. So it gives you all of these tools in your toolbox to really focus on how do you write songs. Because a lot of us, we write from inspiration where we might come up with the chorus, but then what do we do from there? So knowing the tools that you have available helps you determine how to sort of finish the songs that you have these segments that pop up.
Does it get to the point where you kind of know too much? You know what I mean? Like it becomes too heady?
Not so much when you're taking the courses, but I have had those moments now that I've been teaching workshops. And like, if I have a lot of workshops that I teach in the same month, I almost get like creative burnout or like songwriting burnout where I have to sort of step away for a while because my mind is just thinking about it too much. But I usually will break that by just writing something without thinking about it. I'll just jam on some chords or something and make up a title and just start singing it and just kind of throw the thought process out the window and kind of go back to how I used to write.
Yeah, that's kind of it is something you can kind of turn off, eh? Like you can sort of put aside the theory and just sort of engage with an instrument, engage with writing some kind of prose or lyric or something like that isn't too well thought out necessarily, but it just kind of pours out of you, right?
And I think the other thing that it really taught me was how to listen to songs that I like and really how to analyze what's happening with songs. So it not only is a way to write, but it's a way to listen and sort of learn from other writers as well.
I would imagine it would also teach you how to listen to music you may not necessarily like, but is also very effective at what it does. And that's always the difference between an amateur and a professional. A professional can go, well, I don't like it, but I can understand why it's good and how it works.
Yeah. So one of the things that I sort of challenged myself to do too was always kind of continue what I learned and not stop doing some of the exercises and daily sort of practice. So I keep doing that. But one of the things that I've noticed, and Berklee talks about this as well, is a lot of times your rhyme scheme actually matches the melodic motif scheme within a song as well. So if you take like a song like Fire and Rain by James Taylor, the verses, the rhyme scheme matches what's happening in the melody. So a lot of times lines that sound the same melodically will rhyme lyrically. And I think that's something that a lot of songwriters don't pay attention to. But if you listen to a lot of hit songs, the lines that have the same melody have the same rhyme. And rhyme is really lyrical melody, right? Because it's a sonic and a phonetic piece of your lyric that your listener connects with, and it creates not only prosody, but it also creates closure and momentum within your line as well. Because the closer you have your rhymes together, the faster that line seems to move.
Yeah, that's a great insight. That's fantastic. So tell us about one thing I wanted to find out is the Songwriters Association of Minneapolis.
Yep. So it's the Minnesota Association of Songwriters. So it's it's kind of the whole state, but now that we've been in COVID, we've been online. So we're kind of the Minnesota Association of Songwriters that welcomes everybody from wherever you are. So the group itself started way back. The original sort of the group that sort of spun it off started in the 70s in Minnesota. But I think the form that we're in now, I think started 28 years ago. I think I just saw someone say. So it's been a group that's been around for quite a while. I originally joined in 2007, and I've been a member most of that time. And then in 2019, I became the educational director. So I do monthly workshops where we talk about the craft of songwriting, and we dive into some of the things like I was just talking about, rhyme. We look at lyrics, melody, harmony. We even talk about like analyzing some of the current music that's out there to see, what's current at the time, and even look at some older songs and things too, because sort of you listen to songs now, and a lot of the difference between music now and music in the past is really the production, which is kind of like the decoration on the tree, right? The structure and sort of the building blocks of songwriting are still the same, whether you're talking about the 60s or, the whatever we're calling it now, the 2020s. So it's interesting to kind of take those monthly looks there, but the group is really all about promoting songwriters and songwriting. So we do my monthly workshops. We also have song review meetings monthly. We have a song share monthly, and then we also do mixers and special events as well.
When it comes to these workshops and stuff, is it like is that like exclusively your domain, or like you say we? Is there a team of you working on these things, or is it all you?
So the workshops are me, and then there's a board. So Doug Milloway is the president, Paul Nye is the vice president. We have song challenges. You guys were talking about a song challenge. So we have solo song challenges, and then we also have co-write challenges where members get a prompt, and then they write a song, and then they share it with the group. The mixers and the reviews are led by other members and things. So it's really a group effort. We're a nonprofit group, all volunteer. My corner of the organization is the workshop part of it.
Mm-hmm. And you do a meetup as well, right?
Yep. So the meetup is the workshop. So we promote our monthly workshops on meetup.com for sure.
Okay. And what's the structure of that? We do a meetup as well, and we were talking about the structure of it going forward in the new year, and yours came up. I'm curious to know how your meetups or workshops are structured.
Yeah, so it's really me kind of leading a discussion and education on a specific topic. So I usually have a slide presentation where we talk about whatever the topic is. So like in the past, we've talked about writing verses. So we focus on all of the intricacies of writing verses and kind of what the structure is and how songwriters think about writing verses, what is the job of the verse. And then we have listening examples, so we listen to popular music, and then we also have live discussion about what we're talking about. So it's really it's kind of like a lecture / discussion workshop.
I've been to a couple of Chad's workshops. They're really informative and deep, in a way, because he goes through a lot of detailed points and a really lively discussion among the members that really kind of bring the whole thing to life. It's really, really a good experience. I would definitely recommend it to our members. And we've actually traded meetup groups, so to speak. So I think it was Jay from your meetup group that was also part of ours, and he was like, hey, you should check out this Minnesota one. And then we reached out to our members and vice versa.
Yeah. No, Jay is actually who introduced me to Song Talk. He had mentioned it, and then a couple of other members had mentioned it to me. So I've checked out a couple meetings with you guys as well. Mm-hmm. So the COVID, one of the good things it has done is kind of opened up the channels to where we can connect online like this. So it's really cool for creative people to get together and sort of build that community for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, our meetup, we're getting people from all over the world. Turkey, Australia, a lot of people from the U.S.
Minneapolis. Often Minneapolis for some reason.
Very often Minneapolis. Seattle. We had a whole hookup with Seattle people, but every time the Seattle group put a meetup on, it started at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which was starting at 10 p.m. our time on a weeknight. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, weeknights for me are school nights. Like I have to usually work in the morning. So I think there was one last night actually, and I thought about going, and I'm like, I can't, because it starts at 9 o'clock my time, and it would get over way too late. So can't do it.
When are the workshops? Like what time of day?
Yep. So it's 7 p.m. Central Time, the second Thursday of each month. So it's the second Thursday of each month that we do our workshop. And then we have special guests come in sometimes. Last week we had Andrea Stolpe from Berklee was our guest. Coming up, we're going to have Shane Adams, also from Berklee, as one of our guests in March. And then in April, the guest that I'm having, her name is Paula Standing. She is a folk artist out of Australia, actually. And she has currently 3 songs in the top 50 folk charts right now. So she's going to be talking to us about her songwriting as well.
Wow.
Do you pretty well focus on songwriting? Do you ever get into production or anything like that, or is it just strictly songwriting?
So we have done in our the Minnesota Association of Songwriter mixers, we've done some production and mixing sort of talks and things that way. But my workshop is really about songwriting and the craft of songwriting. So we've been trying to keep that as pure as possible.
And what's the at-home songwriting part? Is that something completely different?
So at-home songwriting is my own side thing that I created. So also monthly workshops, which will change times. I'll kind of rotate them on when I do them. They won't compete with the MAS stuff, but at-home songwriting is a YouTube channel that I recently started, and I've been putting up 2 videos a week about the craft of songwriting. So I started it in October, and I've been consistent. 2 videos a week so far, so it's been fun. But I focus on a lot of the thing. It is a lot of work. I probably spend I don't know 6 or 7 hours a week, just doing videos and stuff for that. So it does take some time. But I focus on the same thing where it's about the craft. It's about some of the things that we talk about in the workshops. The at-home songwriting meetup group, I know some, like Neil, I think you had joined, and some of the other members of Song Talk I've seen coming over as well. But I'll be doing at least monthly workshops there, and then more as I kind of come up with ideas on stuff to do. But it's just kind of my own thing to have another outlet of helping people. I think my goal and what I really love to do is help other people get the excitement that I get out of songwriting, because I just love studying and analyzing and sort of geeking out on like, why does that song work? Like, what makes me like that song? And then trying to incorporate that into my own writing. And Andrea Stolpe calls me a tinkerer. Like, I tinker with production and I tinker with songwriting and like all of these things, and I kind of just experiment, because it helps me not have that pressure of like writer's block, because I'm not trying to accomplish anything. I'm just messing around, right? It takes sort of that pressure off for me personally.
That's true.
And you have trouble with deadlines, though? If you don't have a reason to finish, does it stop you from finishing, or do you have a whole bunch of pieces of songs lying around?
I'm pretty good about finishing. I'm not a scrap person. Like, I don't have a bunch of half-written songs. I usually finish what I start for the most part.
No, it's true about how sometimes being forced to write something can really kind of especially with songwriting, your mindset is so affecting. I was when I was trying to be more of a professional musician, I was practicing, and there was a lot of pressure, and I wrote songs and they were fine, but I think I wrote better songs when I stopped trying to be a professional and just sort of wrote songs for the joy of it, because it wasn't sort of, oh, I got to do more stuff, or it wasn't part of something bigger. So it's amazing how our brains can kind of get in the way of what we want to do.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of us, when you start to think about the results, you invite in the critic, right? Like, and you start to judge your work too early in the process, and you start to label things like good or bad. And I think sometimes that sort of kills that train of creativity, where it may grow into something completely cool and different, but your inner critic steps in and sort of squashes it before it has a chance to come alive. And for me personally, like, it's weird because I have this imaginary audience that I'm always trying to impress. It's like, really, I should just be impressing myself, right? Like, if it's cool and I like it, that's, there's got to be other people that will like it too. But one of the things for me about finishing songs, though, is I have taught myself to write quickly, so I can write a full song in an hour or two. So it's very, like, it's not a long process for me. So yeah.
I mean, there's also, we've said this on the show before, that the power of limitations, right? Like, we're, like songwriting challenges, for instance, where you're not facing a blank page necessarily. You're already zeroing in on something to start with as a starting point. And I've always found that really, the more parameters and filters you put on something as a starting point, it kind of makes it easier and gives you focus.
Yeah. And I'll give myself assignments. Like, I'll be like, I want to write, a song that has one chord and it's in a mode, right? Like, pick a mode and it's in that mode, and it's one chord, and then the rhyme scheme is going to be whatever the rhyme scheme is. So then I'll even build within those limitations to see what I can come up with that way as well.
Mm-hmm. It must be exhausting coming up with the workshops, because, I mean, in some ways, songwriting as a topic is kind of endless, but it's also, I mean, putting up 2 videos a week. Was it 2 a week you were saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's a lot of content.
Yeah, I mean, they're not that long. I mean, they're probably 5 to 10 minutes, most of them. Some of them are a little bit longer. So they take a little part of something and sort of expand on it. I've been trying to give tips on ways that, people can write. And I've got a video that's coming out, I think, later this week, that is all about counting syllables and how syllables are not all created equal, right? So sometimes I will see songwriters where they will write a verse and then they're writing their second verse, and they're like, well, the second verse has the same amount of syllables, but it doesn't jive on the melody correct, right? So the reason for that is they're stressed and unstressed syllables. So it's the stress pattern that needs to match more so than the actual number of syllables. So you could have the same number of syllables, but that line will not sing to that melody the same. And that's when you run into putting the wrong stress on words that don't mean anything. So that's where you end up getting a stress on the word the or with, or words that don't carry any emotional content. And when that happens, your song instantly becomes not believable for your listener, because your listener, the second they know that they're listening to a song, they're mentally out. Because I think all of us would agree that the songs that really catch us are the ones that we sort of get immersed in, and we're gone for that 3 minutes, right? But if something doesn't sound natural, your listener is like, oh, it's written, and it's not genuine at that point.
I remember this little indie band in Toronto called Ocean Ship. It was just two people, a guy and a girl. She played piano, he sang and played guitar, and they had this one sort of ballad that the final chorus that he repeated, the word "the" in the chorus was like this big, huge money note. And I thought it was brilliant. But you're right. It did take me out of the song. I was like, look what he did. It was really cool from a craft point of view. But I just thought it was genius.
That's hard. That's a hard word to sing. Even you can't say it do it loud. Well, I guess you could sort of. But.
Maybe the. If you're saying the, it might be easier.
I think it was the. I have to look. I haven't heard it in many years, but I'll have to look it up now. Send it to you guys.
But I think to your point though, Neil, it's like honestly, there's no rules, right? But there's tendencies that people are used to hearing. Your listener and even ourselves, we're programmed to associate good music with what resonates with us, but it's also what sort of we hear all the time. So there are commercial trends, but I think with craft, you can break the rules on purpose. Like maybe the point of the song was the like, you know, the could be accented. Like
you are the one.
You could be like the Neil, or you could be the Neil, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, exactly.
The
right?
Phil
Depends on
Emery.
context.
Right. So it's all about how you're accenting the words within what you're trying to say, but then it's also what is the prosody of that? Does that match what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
You know, so there's a song by Katy Perry called Unconditional, and they purpose, like, the way that they sing it is completely, they're putting the stresses on the unstressed syllables for almost the entire song. And it's really weird to listen to, but in a weird way it works, but not in the same way that it would have if they would have set the content in natural speech, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when you get to music, sometimes you can do stuff that's kind of really fun and really kind of cool, but it's not actually a very good song. It's just kind of fun and kind of cool to play or to write, and that's always a challenge. You go, wow, this is really cool, but you go, is this actually a good song though? Sometimes you don't know.
It's always a question that we as songwriters are asking: did the songwriter do this on purpose, right? Or is it just by mistake? I don't think.
You never want people to ask you, was that on purpose?
On purpose, right? Or was it just pour out of you kind of thing, right? We're always asking that question, but I don't think non-songwriters really care. They just want to. You're right. They don't want to be taken out of the song. They want to be immersed in the experience and just feel it.
So I have people ask me, you know, because we get pretty deep in the workshops about like how you can use the structure of other songs in your own songs. And, you know, we'll talk about, you know, well, here's what James Taylor's song is doing. You could use that in your song. And people will always say, well, did James Taylor think about it? And it's like, it doesn't matter if he thought about it or not, because it's working in that way. So it's sort of like reverse engineering, where you're trying to figure out what is under the hood, and could you try that in your own song? And I think, you know, some people are very purist when it comes to songwriting, and they're like, I just want to do whatever comes out. But that only usually gets people so far, right? Like your sort of inner vocabulary, or like what you do, you know, runs out at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very true. I mean, people always say like, well, the Beatles never used theory, never thought about theory. But I always point out that they still used it, and you're using it too. Everyone's using it, whether you intend to or not, and it's there for other people to examine and to learn from, even if you didn't think about it explicitly.
And also,
you use it, and knowing it is part of it. I mean, Chad, you're saying you can write a song in an hour, and that's because you know what's under the hood. There might be someone out there writing a great song, but it took them 2 months because they went out down all these blind alleys before they struck gold. But if you know what you're doing and you know what's behind it, you can eliminate a lot of wasted effort to get to what you want to say.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, and I think the amount of time it takes you doesn't matter, right? Like if it takes you 2 months to write a song, that's okay, right? It's all about what's the end product. You know, if you write a good song in 2 months, or if you write a good song in an hour, you ended up with a good song, you know?
Right.
But yeah, knowing what to do definitely makes you more efficient. And I think one of the goals that I set for myself was kind of treating myself as a staff songwriter, even though I wasn't a staff songwriter. Like, how are staff writers writing? You know, they're writing 1 or 2 songs every single day. You know, a lot of times if they're in like Nashville, they're doing, you know, 1 or 2 co-writes every single day, and they're coming out with 1 or 2 songs. That takes a lot of knowing how to write a song.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a bit like knowledge doesn't kill creativity. It just makes it so that you don't have to struggle to be creative. And I think that's the thing. It gets rid of all that sort of, oh, I don't know what to do, or you know, it just makes life easier actually. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the quicker you can write songs, the quicker you can get rid of all the bad ones and just write the good ones.
That's
I
true.
always find the more you know and the more practice you do at it, your intuition does get better. Like you can make snap decisions, which actually result in being good decisions, where that wasn't the case before.
Yeah, no, that's what I believe too. I believe that you do it on purpose until you do it by accident, right? Like
Great.
when you think of sports people, like athletes, they're not playing a full game every single day. They're doing exercises and they're sort of knowing what goes into a game. And then so that way when they're in the game, they know their body and their mind know how to react to each situation. And I think it's the same with songwriting activities. You know, it's like learning the process of writing a song sometimes is more important than actually learning how to get the song or learning how to write the good song. It's like knowing what it takes to get there is more important than actually making it happen, because even the pro writers are not writing hit songs, you know, right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Takes a lot of work, you know?
it
So,
does,
Chad-
but it's fun.
Yeah. So Chad, how do people get involved?
So there's a few ways. So Minnesota Association of Songwriters, we have our website, mnsongwriters.org, so you can check that out there. There is a membership fee if you want to attend all of our meetings. It's $50 per year. All of that, like I said, we're nonprofit, volunteer. All of it goes back into programming and sort of keeping the site up and things like that. Also, the Meetup page for MAS. For at-home songwriting, my thing, go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find it at homesongwriting.com. And then my Meetup associated with that as well, the monthly workshop. So would love to see people joining. And I'm also open to like what people want to see as topics, because it's fun for me to help people have sort of that aha moment like I have with all of this stuff.
Yeah. I'm actually really enjoying your YouTube channel. It was funny that I forget what the video was called, but it was right after we dropped our songwriting challenge this year that you talked about. So it was something related to writing from titles. It wasn't exactly that, but it was related to that. I was like, this is perfect timing.
Yeah. Writing from a title is a really efficient way to write, because titles hold so much information for your song. They have lyrical information, they have rhythmic information. There's a lot you can do with a title.
Yep.
I was just thinking about the title that we chose, and one of the great things is that a lot of things rhyme with cry. So
Yes.
that does help. That's why we didn't choose the line that had orange in it.
That's true.
Why do you orange?
And how about if people want to hear your actual music, Chad? How do they get a hold of that?
So they can just search my name on any of the streaming sites. Chad Shank, ChadShank. I'm on all of the main streaming sites, and I've got a lot of stuff out there. I like over 300 songs that I've put out there, so you can listen for
awesome.
quite a while.
And in brief, do you have any quick, good songwriting tips for our listeners?
One of the things that you can do from a content standpoint is when you're thinking about your verses and your choruses will a lot of times have more imagery or concrete details. So things that you can experience through your senses. So sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, and then how things move. And then your chorus is usually your emotional center, and it explains why all of that stuff matters. So one of the things that you can do is start your verse with imagery. So maybe if you have a 4-line verse, do 2 lines of imagery or sense-based language, follow that up with 2 lines of emotional language, or you could look at it as showing and telling. So like, let's say you say, there was a snowy road and she was dragging her feet. So that's imagery, right? Snowy road, she's dragging her feet. Those are your images. And then the next 2 lines would be, she's trying to find her way and she's missing him. And then your chorus then could be like why she's missing him. So you're setting up the scene with the imagery and then explaining why it matters with the emotional language. So I think one of the things that you can do is write a image and then ask yourself why, or what about that, or what does my listener want to say. So that's a tip. Also, making sure that your verse usually contains who, when, where, and what, or a combination of 2 of those, really helps set the stage for your song as you go on, because the details run through the song. You don't have to keep explaining it in every verse. So your second verse can be a lot more deep into the story without having to keep telling the listener things that you've already told them. Hopefully that's helpful. Those were top of mind
very
things.
Good.
Those were awesome. Thanks so much. Well, I think this has been a very educational show, and just it gives our listeners a samples of some of the things you can get, and Chad's channels. Because I think that's all the time we have today on Song Talk Radio. Thank you very much, Chad, for being on our show. It's been awesome. Don't forget, we want to hear from you, the listeners, so send us comments on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, Song Talk Radio, or send us an email at feedback@songtalk.ca. And if you have to be listening on the podcast stream, you can check out the YouTube channel for, live performance sometimes and full episodes now that we're in these boxes. And if you're on YouTube, you should have subscribed by now. And subscribe to the Song Talk Radio podcast on your favorite podcast provider. Don't forget to sign up for the free newsletter at the site as well. And you can find links to all the products and books and web services like the Meetup that we're talking about today on the resources page at the site, songtalk.ca. And wherever you are in the world, you can join us online via Zoom at our next Song Talk Meetup, free to join on meetup.com and free to attend. Stop by the site songtalk.ca for the links. And most of all, we'd like to thank you, the home listener, for stopping by again. Neil, how can people get more of you?
Get more of me at neilmodi.com.
And how about you, Michael?
Proudfoot420 on Instagram.
That's great. And of course, get more of me at philemery.ca. And don't forget to stop by the website at songtalk.ca to browse past shows and find out how you could be a guest. And we're going to be playing Chad's song from Chad. Do you want to tell us something about this tune?
Is it, I forget what I sent you. Was it Beat of a Heart?
Yes.
Yeah, so Beat of a Heart. So this song actually it started as the track. So a lot of times I will write music first and then sort of write to it. And I was trying to come up with something rhythmic, and I was thinking like what words sort of fit with rhythm, and like the word beat, and then what has a beat, and then it was heart, and then it sort of grew into what it is. So it's kind of a pop song that I had written. Took me a couple hours, start to finish, not including mixing, but yeah, so this is called Beat of a Heart.
Oh, the silence is heavy. I've been craving the pulse of feeling you close to me. The beat of our love, the passionate drum, so sweet. Oh, just to hear their heart, hear the sound of their breath, and feel someone here. Oh, oh, it's a beat of a heart that I want to keep me going. It's like the rhythm of life in the middle of night. It's a beat of a heart that I want to keep me going. It's like the rhythm of life in the middle of night. I want to feel the beat of a heart. It can light up the dark, help you find the spark. It's the beat of a heart. When the rhythm starts and the lonely parts, it's the beat of a heart. Oh, oh, yeah. It's a beat of a heart that I want to keep me going. It's like the rhythm of life in the middle of night. It's a beat of a heart that I want to keep me going. It's like the rhythm of life in the middle of night. Can light up the dark, help you find the spark. It's the beat of a heart. When the rhythm starts and the lonely parts, it's the beat of a heart. Oh, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really great tune. It was very very Minneapolis kind of sound to it. It was
Yeah, for sure. No, my influences are definitely, Prince and Janet Jackson, and that's the stuff that I grew up listening to. I've definitely experimented with other styles and stuff as well, but pop always seems to be what comes to me for sure.
I think it's kind of cool that Prince actually lived in Toronto for a while.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a big house here.
Never came on our show though.
Dang.
Jeez, what a guy!
He seems to be busy or something. I
Seriously.
guess.
Jeez.
Hey,
the
Phil, what
Jacksons-
is your website? It's philemery.com?
philemery.ca.
Yeah. The Jacksons are from Minnesota too. Is that right? The Jackson 5?
No, they're originally from Indiana, but Janet
Okay,
Jackson recorded her first, or the albums that really exploded for Janet, like Control, Rhythm Nation,
Right.
the Janet album, those were all recorded here when Jimmy Jam and
Oh.
Terry Lewis
Okay.
had their studio here. Yeah, a lot of people like Mariah Carey, Usher, Boys to Men, like tons of people recorded in Minneapolis when that studio was here.
Yeah. It was quite the driver of modern music at one point.
What is Prince has a whole, I don't know, playground, whatever.
Yeah,
Or
Paisley Park.
Paisley
is
Park.
here.
Paisley Park. Is that in Minneapolis?
Yep. It's a museum now, so you can tour it. But that was where he lived and where he had his studio and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You've toured it, yeah?
Yeah, and we used to go out there when he was still alive. He would post on Twitter that he was doing something, and then you'd go out there at midnight, and you'd pay like $10, and you'd get to go in and watch him jam till like 5 a.m, and he would just be like mingling with people and stuff. Like he really didn't talk to people, but he brushed up against us a few times. So I think I was out there like about 4 or 5 times and got to see Prince. So which was awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
In its natural habitat.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, he loved Minnesota, and he wasn't afraid of just having people come over. I mean, he would just jam, which was really cool to see.
Is Lake Minnetonka, is that a real lake?
That's a real lake, yes.
It is really okay.
Yep. But in Purple Rain, that was actually filmed down by the Minnesota River. That wasn't actually Lake Minnetonka. But
Well, that was a joke in the movie too. She jumps in and is like, I wasn't really Lake Minnetonka.
Yep. But no, Lake Minnetonka is a huge lake, and it's where a lot of rich people live.
Okay. Like Prince.
Prince lived in Paisley Park, which was in Chanhassen, so not too far from there.
Not
but
too far. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. I think he actually, his first recording deal, I think they gave him basically total artistic control. And he was quite young, so it was very unusual for that to happen. He's like 24 or something, or maybe
I think he was younger than that, actually. I think he was like
quite
19 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a talent.
Totally. Yeah, it was very shocking. Well, for me, because I've always been such a fan, and then just the city in general when he passed, it was.
That was so weird. I never thought that would happen to him. I thought for sure, because he seemed, he didn't seem totally uncontrolled. He actually always seemed very, very controlled.
Yeah.
Well, what's
and
fun-
he was
what's
a Jehovah's
funny-
Witness for so long, and I
Yeah.
didn't-
He
have a
also
drug
never
overdose,
allowed like drinking or like anything when you'd go out to Paisley Park. Like that was like not allowed. So the fact that he was taking drugs was kind of a shock to everybody for sure.
Great stuff. Well, I'm definitely going to check out your meetup, because it's sounds like it's
so will
it's an
I.
awesome thing.
Yeah, it's a really good place. And I noticed, Chad, you signed up for our meetup.
I did. Yes.
So
Well, I was looking for the meeting. I'm like, there's no meeting out. And then all of a sudden I got a notification on my phone, and I just hit it right away. And I was like, oh, I'm going to RSVP.
yeah,
So-
yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, we were slacking over the holidays. It's like, wait a minute, we don't have any meetups for 2022.
Yeah, really.
I have a meetup, a workshop this Saturday, actually, at 10 a.m. Central, about writing choruses. So if you guys are free, you can RSVP on meetup.com.
I would definitely love to come, but I'm a little busy over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So packing up a lot of stuff.
I'll be posting the workshop on the YouTube channel within a couple
the whole
days
thing.
after. So yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, definitely try to attend.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, the last one for At Home Songwriting was really fun. We had like Nabil was there, Richard Johnson was there. Neil, were you there? I don't remember.
The Andrew, what was her name? Stolpley?
No, that was last week, but the At Home Songwriting one was writing verses.
Oh no, I wasn't there for that one.
That's posted online on my YouTube as well, so you can check that out.
Okay, yeah. I gotta recheck out the Andrea Stopel one, because I got mixed up on the time. Meetup exports to Google Calendar, right? And so it
Yes.
had put in 8 p.m. Eastern, but it was already an hour in when I logged in.
Well, plus we moved it because Andrea, her kids, something with COVID, her schedule changed, so we moved it from Thursday to Wednesday.
No, yeah, I did change that, but I didn't think the time had changed. The day had changed, but
Oh yeah, the time changed. Yeah, we went an hour.
the time did change. Okay.
Yep.
That-
We went
that's
an hour
more-
earlier. Yep.
Oh, well. But I'm gonna watch the resume.
I can send you the link to that one because that's an MAS event. So I won't be posting that one on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I feel like I saw the link to it.
I
but
did
just
send it
haven't-
out. Yeah.
I remember clicking play and I did watch like the first 5 minutes, but then I lost it and then had to go back. And,
That's right. I did send it to the people who had RSVP'd. Yep.
Yeah.
So you're good.
yeah, cool. Yeah, because she was really, really well versed. Like really, she knows how to talk about this stuff. Really well.
Oh, I just every time I hear her talk, I just get excited about writing.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. I'll keep an eye open for that. Sounds great.
definitely.
All right,
Well,
lads.
thank you guys so much.
Thank you for coming on. It was a
Thank
great
you
show.
for
We
coming on,
really would love to have you back on sometime over the next few months.
Yeah, and if you want to prepare, like if there's a topic or something that you guys want to like focus on, like let me know, because that might be kind of fun to do too.
We
have a
do
couple.
those theme shows,
Yeah.
like I was telling you before. Yeah, for sure.
Like we can teach you how to rime with orange.
Yeah, already did it.
Splorge.
Courage.
Well, there's 5 different kinds of rhymes, so you do have options.
Exactly. Go deep on that.
All right.
Well, thanks, guys. We'll see you
right.
later.
Take care.
All right,
Bye-bye.
take care, Chad.
All right, take care. everyone.
Bye.
All right.
Yeah.